Now, I know what you're thinking based off the title of this video. I must be licking a whole lot of this. But I'm sorry to tell you, it's not what this is about. I've noticed a serious disparity in the Nintendo community regarding, well, Nintendo. I feel like Nintendo fans sometimes don't fully understand that Nintendo is a company and is fully fallible. And whenever they do mess up or something stupid, people act like Nintendo is just the worst. It's become a meme now. Hate the company, love the games. It's more complicated than that. It's not just as simple as Nintendo is just a bad company trying to make the world hate them. They're speedrunning to make everyone hate them, because that's not the case. They're not villains twisting the little evil mustaches. Doug Bowser isn't some terrible person. It's just business. When you think of Nintendo, what do you think of? What's Nintendo's biggest thing they have over Xbox and PlayStation? What's their big drawing point? There's two things. Portable devices, they've always dominated the market, and they still do, and their IPs. Over everything else. Over Xbox, over Sony, over Sega, over everything else, they've always had their IPs. You want to play Mario? You better get a Nintendo. You want to play Donkey Kong? You better get a Nintendo. It's just how it is. And the reason why they protect that so hard is for games like Mario 3D All-Stars. I have it somewhere, I swear. Here it is. Yeah, don't worry, I'm always prepared. 3D All-Stars, by all means, is lazy. But it's not a bad thing. The fact that it's even on the Switch, to me, is cool enough, honestly. Like, it's fine for me. The fact that they re-updated the graphics a little bit, to me, is also fine. Because whenever you remaster a game, or completely remake it, you walk a thin line of changing stuff up about the game that made the game unique. Now, am I saying that's what Nintendo was thinking whenever they did it? Probably not. But a full remaster could have taken out a lot of like the quirks that made Mario 64, for example. Mario 64. Now, it's not perfect, and I understand people are mad about it. I get it. But bringing these games on modern consoles is neat. However, you can play Mario 64 on the PC for free at higher fidelity with better frame rate for no cost. So whenever people ask why doesn't Nintendo support emulation, stuff like that, even though I think emulation is one important because it leads to a lot of preservation of games that are just never going to get remade. It's because Nintendo sees every single game that they've made as an opportunity later on to either incentivize something like Nintendo Online or put into a bundle super easily. Big thing that was controversy around it was the fact that it was a limited release, which, is it scummy? Sure. Is it that big of a deal? Not really. Like, if you really wanted the game, you're probably gonna buy it. If you don't really want it, you're probably not gonna buy it. I think the fishiest thing about this whole thing is the limited release schedule. It's just weird, but at the same time, I feel like if you're gonna get the game, you probably already have the game. So, they're just trying to make it rare. They're just trying to make collector's items or whatever. They're trying to make it unique. But it is dumb. It feels like you're throttling the game that it's a game collection that you really shouldn't throttle because it's a celebration of Mario. But I don't think that's too major. They did that with Fire Emblem 2, and well, it's odd. It's $5. Whoever's gonna buy it is gonna buy it. You know, they're just trying to get more people to buy it, and it worked. What can we say? It worked. I mean, have you seen how much a game has sold? Like, that's a lot. Now, a big thing that's gotten them in trouble is their lack of support for the Smash community and the Big House tournament specifically. Long story short with that, essentially Nintendo shut down a tournament because they were using an emulator. Now, there's an actual reason for it with the online tool they're using and whatever, and him having a big problem with that, but to be honest with the Chief, because Nintendo saw the fact that it was being emulated. They just tried to find a reason to shut it down for that. That's why. That's the only reason why they shut it down. All they see is emulating. And to them, even though Melee is an old game, and to a lot of people it's dead as well, like, Nintendo's not probably going to remake Melee, but it's the fact that they could. They could always do a little, like, HD reboot of Melee, put it on Switch, and have everybody buy it. You know, they always could. It's really easy to do. Anyone could do that. I could do that. I couldn't do that. But a lot of people could do that. It's not very difficult to do. A lot of people have done that. You know what I mean? It's not difficult. And Nintendo wants to monetize that. But if you realize that you could get a better online experience than what Smash Ultimate, or what this hypothetical HD Melee would bring on a PC, you get better frame rate on the PC, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy the Switch version that is, one, you have to buy, two, is inferior to the version you have for free on your PC, or are you going to go play the better version? This kind of bites Nintendo in the butt a little bit because people buy the games regardless. The fear that people will just stop buying these Virtual Console legacy games because they're already available for free on PC. I can understand it, but I can also understand why people are angry at it. And it's a stark contrast from Sega, who just literally paid a dude to make a better Sonic game than they can make. The big thing about this whole controversy too is the fact that Nintendo handled it really poorly. That was the big thing. See, Nintendo really should have known when to just kind of stop. The Big House event was already enough. There's already a lot of damage. People were already saying hashtag free Melee. It was already bad. And then a Splatoon team makes a name called hashtag free Melee, and they pull a Blizzard China and just cancel the event. That's bad. That's really bad. That's like irrehensibly bad, alright? Now, I don't think that was brought up to Doug Bowser himself, and Doug Bowser himself went, yes, we must eliminate this free Melee. We must obliterate. I don't think that happened. That's more likely to happen on a lot of things getting up to him, but I do think that somebody scummy did see that and made a really bad call. I think that was by far the worst thing Nintendo's done. Out of all the recent controversies, that's by far the most irrehensible. Everyone kind of moved on after they released Sephiroth, which Nintendo America should really thank Sakurai for that, because they didn't know what they were going to do. I can understand why they did the stuff they did, except the Splatoon one, because the Splatoon one was just kind of really bad, but all the defending their IPs so heavily, to me, I can see them sensibly doing that as a company and trying to protect the money they make. If they didn't do that, right, let's say in a hypothetical world, they didn't do that. Mario 64, they put it out on 3D All-Stars, they threw all that out there, right? And they didn't try to stop emulation, they didn't try to stop ROMs, right? They let that flow freely. Here's the thing, if they did that, I promise you 3D All-Stars will not have sold as well as it did. I promise you. A lot of people buying 3D All-Stars are new generations of people playing these 3D Mario games for the first time. So if it was common knowledge, you could just get it on like a computer to have it run even better, free. Guess what would happen? There's a reason why they do it. Like, it's not them being completely evil. There's a reason why they do it. Another big thing that happened, which people were really angry about, and I can see why, is the Edicons. If you don't know, Edicons were fashioned after Etika after his passing, and all money was to go to mental health. I think this is really cool. I think this is awesome. I think it's a cool thing. But I promise you this, Nintendo didn't know any of that before they did it. If they knew, they wouldn't have done it. Like, you can try to say like they did the research and fully strategized every single game for the Edicons, and then Doug Bowser himself saw it and said, we must smite all these heathens. tear them down. That didn't happen though. I guarantee you, some schmuck at Nintendo America went, they're using the word Joy-Cons. And with patents, you have to like protect certain words, or else you lose the right to them. Because if you don't, you just lose the right to them and let people do it. It's scummy. It sucks. But you have to remember two things. One, Nintendo, maybe some people in Nintendo know who Etika is, right? Maybe some people genuinely know who Etika is. I guarantee you, all of Nintendo does not know who Etika is. I promise you. It's not common knowledge. He's not like some person held in reverence there. He's not. He's just a dude to them. Does that suck? Yes, it does. But that's just how it is. They don't personally know him. It didn't affect, his death didn't affect every single person in Nintendo. I'm sure some people were really upset about it. I'm sure there were. Saw the word Joy-Cons. They saw it was getting popular somewhere. Somebody saw it. Some schmuck saw it. And took it down. Does it suck? Yes. Were they in the rights to do it? Technically. Does it still suck? Yes. But I guarantee you, they didn't know how bad it sucked when they did it. So, speaking of like the big house and all that as well, a lot of people are really mad at Nintendo in general for just not supporting Smash or any competitive scene. There's a reason why they don't. A really good reason why they don't. I promise you there is. Let's think about what happened earlier this year in the Smash Bros. Community. You know, pedophilia? Yeah, that definitely happened. What would have happened in an alternate reality, right? If Nintendo fully endorsed Smash. Yes, we love Smash. Fully going at it. The community's great. Nairo right here. Yes, we endorse him because they've had Nairo in like official Nintendo tournament events before as like a guest of honor. They've actually treated him a little special in comparison to everyone else. If they went full force, Nairo would have been treated special. Nairo would have been like put on a little pedestal. What would have happened then when it turns out Nairo is a pedophile? You see what I mean? Whenever that happened, whenever the whole Smash community started falling apart, you know what Nintendo did? They took off their hat and just whew, dodged a bullet there. Seriously, like dodged a bullet. Now, you can say that that's dumb. They would just say, we never knew Nairo or whatever. But every single time we go to Subway, and you think of Jared from the Subway commercials, you know, the pedophile, those two instantly connect. You instantly think of each other, you know what I mean? It's not a thing where you just forget about it. Whenever you think of Jared, you think of Subway. Whenever you think of Subway, there's a chance you might even think of Jared. That's irreparable damage. You can't get rid of that. That's going to last forever. That's going to last for as long as people can remember Jared. So could you imagine a world where they fully endorsed people that could have potentially been pedophiles and had that stigmatism to their name? Could you imagine if parents found out about that? That people that play Smash are pedophiles and stuff like that? Could you imagine that? Because that probably would have reached their ears if Nintendo was full force on the Smash community. Do I think that fully, just justifies them not helping Smash at all? No. They should at least have some prize pools or something. They should at least have something for the Smash community. But the reason why they don't is because they still want to be a kid company. Listen, I love Smash. I've been playing Smash since I was 5, alright? I've been invested in Smash since I was young. Nintendo wants this to be a party game. No matter what you say, no matter how much you fight that it's a fighting game, no matter how many advanced techs and mechanics you're going to abuse in the game, it's still a party game to Nintendo. They don't want to push this is some hardcore game that only hardcore gamers can get into. They want to push this as you can literally just mash buttons and anyone can hop in. That's why they're not pushing for tournaments. That's why they're not pushing for hardcore play. That's why they don't push for hardcore play in anything, because they want it to be where anyone can jump in and go and potentially win. That's why items are introduced. Items are introduced to make the game more wacky, have more variables, make it a party game. That's the whole point. That's how Nintendo pushes Smash. That's how Nintendo pushes most of their IPs. As games anyone can jump into. They don't want to push the competitive community in general. And 2, it's also to cover themselves from, getting in trouble for some guys diddling kids. It's not stupid for them to do that. Does it suck for the community? Yes. Does it hurt the community? Yes. But does it keep Nintendo from potentially having to deal with lawsuits or deal with various other just discrepancies towards their name. Yeah. Last thing to really talk about is the fact that this has just been a really slow year for games in general. I think getting mad at Nintendo because they haven't released hit after hit like the past couple of years is silly. Nintendo will eventually release some games, but COVID's hit everyone hard. It hit Sakurai really hard, though he was having trouble making the characters. I guarantee you, you would have already had the Fighter Pass done by now if you could. This virus is real, and it's causing shutdowns. And honestly, I'm not even talking about the virus itself, I'm talking about the impact of the virus on video games, media, etc., etc., etc. This is a perfect storm where we don't have anything else going on, everyone's kind of at home bored, and game developers can't go to work to develop more games or more movies. That's why games like Cyberpunk are released super buggy right now. It's because I guarantee you that developer can do a lot better, and it will be good eventually. It's going to take some time, and it's time that they, one, didn't have because they're already delaying, and two, weren't given because COVID made sure that they were not coming into work for a while. I guarantee you, at some point, they had to be delayed from coming into work for safety reasons. At the end of the day, do I think Nintendo's actions are pretty bad? Of course I do. Do I think Nintendo should be fully just forgiven because they put Sephiroth in Smash? Of course not. But do I think that Nintendo is just the worst gaming company ever? Psh! Have you seen the fire over at Konami? Or even Sega? Like, rant incoming. Sega is the worst of their IPs. Where Nintendo really does try to make sure their IPs are used really well, and they might not be the best. F-Zero doesn't get a lot of love. Like, overall though, if Nintendo makes a game in a franchise, it's going to be good. Guaranteed, it's going to be something. Sega? Yeah, like 25% chance it'll be good, and like a 75% chance it'll be like garbage. Now, that doesn't mean every single Sega game's terrible, obviously. Atlas makes the Persona games and the Shin Megami Tensei games, and Yakuza is a great series, and Valkyrie Chronicles is good, but Sonic is garbage, dude. So many IPs that they just don't use. So many. They have 2 consoles. They have 4 consoles worth, actually, if you're counting the Saturn and the Dreamcast, and if you're also counting, like, all of them. Like, they have so many IPs. They don't do anything. Sega just sucks their IPs. I mean, if you're looking at, like, game companies itself, sure, Nintendo's does some crappy things, but just remember, they're surrounded by companies, businesses, doing the exact same thing they're doing. The only difference is Nintendo just really, really, really cares about their IPs. That's really it. They're just super overprotective of their IPs. And it causes a lot of pain to the community, especially like the Nintendo community, but just understand, they're not evil, they're not twirling their mustache, they're not plotting to be the worst gaming company ever. They're just trying to protect their IPs and doing a terrible job at it. Keep it juicy.